Hello, I am Christine the Mean. It is the 2nd of March, and it is time for another version of esports news. Let's get started. First of all, we're going to talk about players and teams in the news of the week. We had an announcement from Team Void with their roster. So they have now announced their 6-person roster. Niklas, Bob, Hamza, and Hyro, along with Ali as the captain and General Vinay as the base builder. So we have seen Void making deep pushes in a number of tournaments, and we'll be excited to see how that continues with this roster. Next, we have Havoc Esports dissolving. So they tweeted out that they're sad to announce that Havoc Esports will be on hiatus after their current league, and they've got the little heartbreak emote there. And a note that Havoc Fight Club will continue as always. It's just the esports is dissolving. And then the Peter 17 responded that the time has come that they take a different path, that they wish the Havoc team the best for the future and all of this. So it would appear that the Havoc Esports was a collaboration between Peter 17 and Havoc Fight Club, and that collaboration is ending for whatever reason. It does look respectful from everything we've seen on Twitter. But that does lead us to the next piece of news, which is that Peter 17 Dollar is recruiting. So in the wake of this dissolution, they must be shy a few players, and they are looking to add a few to that roster. We also have an announcement from Carnage Gaming that they are entering Clash of Clans, and they have released this roster of Stiglitz, Nivlum, Anonymous, Virgil, Fabian, Dij, and Memk Inferno. So we have Carnage Gaming showing up in Clash of Clans, I think for the first time. That should be fun to watch how that develops. We also had a tweet just this morning from Jethro with the sorry to say that I will not be playing for or on the Space Station 5v5 man roster for this season. I want to thank Unit Sean for an amazing year in 2021, but I will be moving on to play on a different team. And then new team announcement later, or today or tomorrow. Okay, so I left a lot of space because I kind of expected that new announcement to happen before I started to record this, and it did not. But okay, I'm going to go on some random crazy speculation here. So Jethro says he will not be playing for or on the 5v5 man roster for the season. Okay, he does not say he's leaving Space Station, just that he's not on the 5v5 roster. So I don't know exactly what this means, but those words seem to me to be very carefully chosen. And it also does not say he's moving on to a different org or a different clan. He just a different team, new team announcement. So let's just stay tuned and see what he says. But I have my own speculation is that there's going to be a second squad for Space Station or something related, and that's what this is about. We'll see. I'll see next week. Okay, we also have a number of players that are looking for teams. So we have Boom God looking for a European Town Hall 13 clan. We have Justin looking to play in the March event and Worlds. And we have Tosa looking for a Team Queso team. So there you go, a couple of players who are out there on social media. Let's move on to World Championships. So I went through a whole bunch of overview of World Championships last week. So this week I'm going to do a couple of deep dives into different aspects of the rule book. Because it's like a 33-page rule book. So there's pieces here that I thought were interesting. So let's start out with confidentiality. Okay, you might not think that was too exciting, but you know what? There's some interesting things in here. First of all, it says any content, including protests, support tickets, discussions, or other correspondence with administrators are strictly confidential. So if you have basically any conversation with a Worlds tournament administrator, that is confidential. And publication of that is prohibited without written consent. So unless they tell you that you can publish it, you can't. It's confidential. And the players are required to sign non-disclosure agreements in order to play. So basically, if you're in the tournament is the only reason you'd be having these conversations. And if you're in the tournament, you will have signed a non-disclosure agreement, which then means you cannot talk publicly about any of those conversations. And a failure to comply has a fine and a year-long competitive ban. So why did I think this was important to highlight? Because for a Clash of Clans esports org, we want our players to be out there engaging publicly. We want them out there on Twitter. We want them posting videos. We want them streaming. These are good things for esports. However, they need to be really super careful about what they say and what they publish relative to this specific tournament, because it can lead to fines and a ban, which could have serious repercussions for your rosters. So from a player perspective and from an org perspective, I think there's risk in here of people not knowing what they sign. That fine print that you don't read probably has this confidentiality agreement in it. So just be careful what you're talking about relative to Worlds once you're signed on as a player for it. Okay, the next thing, rule changes. Okay, administrators reserve the right to amend, remove, or otherwise change the rules without notice. So basically, the administrators can change the rules. So they have a rule book, but they can change. They also reserve the right to make judgment on cases that are not explicitly supported. So if a situation arises that is not already anticipated by the rules, the administrators are allowed to use their judgment, which I think you would expect. But then it goes on to say that judgments that may even go against the rules to preserve fair play and sportsmanship. This is a huge clause in my mind, because what that means is that even though something is written in the rules, the tournament administrators in a situation may decide to go against what's written in the rules to try to get to fair play and sportsmanship, which I think is good, because some tournaments that we're in, we see teams that are trying to work really fine points in the rules to eke out a win, which is sort of distasteful, and it feels like it's not fair play or sportsmanship. So on the one hand, this is good. On the other hand, I have also seen tournaments where there's clear bias by the tournament organizers and by the administrators. And unfortunately, this rule here and the way it's written would allow that bias to come into play if those administrators are not very, very careful. So my hope is that the Clash of Clans World Championships will be run in a way that always is seeking fair play and sportsmanship, and that some of the bias that we've seen does not continue. So next thing I want to talk about, Clan War League. Okay, this is sort of important. Players that have previously earned a golden ticket in 2021 are ineligible for participation in subsequent Clan War Leagues with any of their accounts. So if you win a golden ticket, you can't use your second or third account to help your clan, get another team there. What this means is that once a competitive player is rostered, they are basically out of War League, and they cannot help the rest of their teammates try to get another team. I think this also could have repercussions for how some esports orgs manage Clan War Leagues, and the hope that they would have more than one roster go just means you always need 5 more competitive players to help launch you there. All right. Next, attack times. Okay, I brought this up. We talked a little bit about this before, but this 5-minute prep, 45-minute format has not been used by very many tournaments in Clash of Clans. I think the EYG uses it already, but it hasn't been used by very many, and there's a lot of discussion about how that first hit has to come in at 37 minutes. 8 minutes after the war map flips over, one of the players is going to have analyzed the base, pick their army, and be ready to hit. Not a lot of time there. So what do we need? We need opportunities for clans and teams to practice this. We all get better at the things we work on, and right now that seems like not enough time because we're used to having 20 minutes. And we're used to how do we format our wars and our discussions and our base claiming and our attack planning based on 20 minutes. We will get used to 8 minutes, but we have to practice. So I wanted to just send another shout out to the MLCW for changing their format to reflect these attack times for their upcoming Season 2 esports, and also to the Events Hub, who has a league that is starting very shortly, and they put it up to a vote of the clan reps about whether it would follow the old 1560 or the 545. And last I checked, the 545 was winning by a lot. So I think everybody knows we need to practice this. That's what I wanted to cover for Worlds. But there is a little extra thing here, which is the March warm-up event was announced. So this is a tournament put on by Clash of Clans, $40,000 prize pool, and you're eligible for it if you are in the top 8 clans from March CWL Champs 1. So we just started CWL yesterday, and if you are in the top 8, you will have a chance to play in this tournament. I think there are a lot of clans that are pretty excited about the opportunity to potentially play in this tournament, and I'm excited to see who those top 8 are. Now, also, you get to compete against the 2020 World Finalists, which seems like something that would be expected, but it says, and other top clans. So apparently, Clash of Clans is going to take the top 8 from CWL, and the 2020 World Finalists, and a few others. Well, good. I guess that's good. I'm looking forward to see how this goes. And that's it for Worlds. Moving on to league and tournament news. So first of all, the MCWL did crown a champion, the Burmese Ghouls. Congratulations go out to the Burmese Ghouls for winning the MCWL Season 4. We also have Fury. So Fury did put out a fresh bracket. The type is so small you can't see it. So I have written on the left-hand side, Titan Esports did beat QSFN to earn a spot in the finals, and Zombie Doom did beat RTI to earn a spot in the finals. So the final playoff for Fury, the championship, is between Titan Esports and Zombie Doom. Good luck to both of those competitors. And Black Widow, okay, a couple of familiar names here. So again, I don't have a bracket here. On the left, Fortaleza beat Small World, and RTI shows up again beating Titan. So Titan was in the final for Fury. They got beaten in the quarterfinals here in Black Widow. So Fortaleza versus RTI, and on the right-hand side, we've got the NGT Legends versus Inner Circle. And so that Black Widow will shortly be finishing up as well. The Clash Champs Cup has their round of 16 announced. Activity versus Unicorns of Love, Space Station versus Vanguard, M2 Ninja versus NGT Legends, those Legends showing up again. Unicorns of Love Hell versus Methods of Madness, MCES versus 11 Original, Tribe Gaming versus Vatang, King's Circle versus Nishang Dance, and Aphelion Esports versus WHF. So these should be some pretty good matches. There's a lot of big names in the Clash Champs Cup round of 16. And I noticed Carbon Finn was streaming a bunch of these, so I'm starting to get some good attention for the Clash Champs Cup. Other league news. Okay, this is sort of a big one. I have multiple slides on this. So Northern Arena drops a tweet. We are excited to finally announce our next event, the NACC, the Northern Arena Clash Championship. And they claim this is the first pro league within Clash of Clans, including 18 invite teams starting in May. More information and applications will follow tomorrow. Okay, so there's a number of things that I'm rather confused about here. First of all, okay, prize pool 10,000 is a lot. But first of all, first pro league, I think there are other leagues in Clash of Clans that would take exception to that and would say that they were the first pro league. Second of all, 18 invited teams, but then why are there applications? Or are they opening this up to more? I don't quite understand what that means. And basically what it comes down to is I don't understand what Pro League means. What does Pro League mean to you? Does it mean it's only invite teams? Because then you don't really need applications. What does that mean? I'm highly confused by what this means. So let's move on to the next slide because there's more confusion around the Northern Arena Clash Championship for me. So this was posted in the Fury server. Ted posts, "Hey everyone, we have some big news. Fury Cup is under new management. As a result, after the current season ends, we will be completely rebranding. Please stand by while we make some changes to the server after the finals here." Okay, so we've thought that Fury was maybe a little understaffed this season. and it seemed like they might be ripe for some change. Well, it would appear that the Northern Arena Clash Championship is taking over Fury. Okay, but I'm confused by this because, like, what does a tournament own? What are their assets? And I think of the assets as being a brand, management, maybe staff, probably structure and rules, probably a server and members, and probably sponsors. So these are like the 5 things that I think of as the assets that a tournament has. Now, none of them can really be sold, but they're the things that a tournament brings. So when I think about Fury, and then I think about what's been announced about this Northern Arena Clash Championship, okay, the brand is not carrying over. He says right in his post that it's going to be rebranded. So Fury is no longer going to be. This is going to become the NACC. Management, well, he says right in his post that it's under new management. So management doesn't carry over. So that doesn't. Staff, okay, well, staff, Fury seemed understaffed. I think they were trying hard, but it didn't seem like there were that many people there trying very hard. So maybe you have a few people. Maybe that's what you get. Structure and rules, well, Fury never sold itself as a pro league. So my guess is that that's not even really carrying over, this 8-team invite thing. I mean, it's not clear, but it's not clear to me that the structure and rules are carrying over. So you've got a server and some members, obviously. I'm in that server already, and so are some other people, and that'll carry. Sponsors, are those carrying over? The Fury sponsors are not showing up on this graphic about the Northern Area Clash Championship. So what confuses the heck out of me is, why is NACC claiming to take over Fury, but they're not keeping anything that Fury had that was of value? And why aren't they just starting fresh? I am completely flummoxed by this whole move. I am confused. So somebody should help me out with that. Leave me comments and tell me why this makes sense. Okay, but the coolest thing that came out of this is Drew You Even Clash. Okay, so that gets announced, and Drew You Even Clash puts out a tweet that says, all right, who's your 16? Who would yours be? And Drew You Even Clash puts out his list of teams that he would invite. If he had the opportunity to invite 18 teams, now he said 16, there was some confusion there, who would he invite? And he says ATN Queenwalkers, MCES Tribe, Space Station Gaming, Nishong Dance 1 and 2, Darkest Mujon, Carnage, Vatang, Rigo Torres' team, Bernal's team, UOL/UOL Hell, QSFN/AE, MKMA, Fusion Town Hall Legends, and then he says J off because it's on his list. Okay, so that's like a nice list, right? And then he has to amend it with some extra stuff. He calls them also receiving votes: Z German Tryhards, Eve Inquisition and Penta. Okay, I thought that was funny. And then he has talented but new. Okay, Vanguard Gaming and UOLEU, that's cute, right? Talented but new. Media Matters, of course. WHF and One Hive, right? They got the media presence. And then he's got Strength in Numbers. GX and Nolex. And finally, he says robbed in the past, caramel pudding. Okay, you gotta love this list. I love this. I am now a new fan of Drew Even Clash because this is good stuff right here. His list is funny. His little extra at the bottom is funny. And other people are responding with their lists, which I think is fantastically fun. So we've got BN with a list, and we have Clash Arson with a list. And we're going to call these the Drew's 18s, and I'm going to start keeping track of Drew's 18s and see how many other responses we get by next week, because I think this is terrifically fun. Okay. Moving on, other leagues. So the WCL is in playoffs. They are currently playing the round of 64. We will keep track of that. Pitt, currently playing the round of 64. We'll keep track of that. Oh, Carry Esports. Okay, Carry Esports is playing the round of 128, and I think I had posted this last week that it had a $500 prize, but I could not figure out when the registrations were due or when the awards would happen. It looks to me like it actually is a single elimination bracket. So I think, and but there's a little bit of controversy about Carry Esports. There's some allegations that Carry Esports has not been running their tournament in a way that is committed to fair play and sportsmanship, and that they seem to be showing some bias towards their own teams. I do not know if this is true. So it is simply allegations, but there's sort of a cloud of, I want to call it, some uncertainty around Carry Esports because of that. Moving on. Okay, I have to put in the 187 Family Cup. The registrations are closed. You can't sign up. I didn't mention it before, but the 187 Family Cup is put on in German. It's German clans mostly. The rules are all in German. They've got qualifiers coming up March 9th through 11th. And, you know, the German rules are even in a PDF document, so I can't even copy paste them and try to understand them myself. But I've always wanted to have a team in the 187 Family Cup because I think it's cool. So I'm kind of like, I'm jealous of people who can read German because I think 187 seems like a cool thing. And my recollection is that 187 basically invites or accepts a whole bunch of German clans, and then they have a couple extra spaces where in their server, clans that get the most popular votes get invited. If you're not German, you have to get invited by people in their server, I think. But again, I don't know. You should help me out with this. But I'm a fan of the 187 Family Cup, even though I don't understand much about it. Moving on, Top Warriors Cup. This bracket has been like a pain in my butt for weeks now, so I'm glad we're down to the end. I think the final is here, and I think it is between Titan Esports and Reapers Esports. So hopefully one of those will win in the next week, and I can get rid of this slide with this bracket that is highly confusing. Because clearly, if I was correct about the bar out winning, then Titan and Reapers would not be in the final. And so trying to ferret out who's winning what based on their Discord has been really hard. And I am hoping that somebody will win this one. Moving on, the leagues. We've got 4 things that are currently between registration and clan selection. That's the Frontline Tournament, Wizards Cup, MWL, and MLCW Esports Season 2. And then we've got an Events Hub League and the Champions Mixed Cup that are supposed to be starting soon. The rest of these are all kind of in some phase of play or playoffs that I can't find info about. So anyway, keep up the good work, all of you leagues. And if you are not on this and you want me to start tracking you, leave me a comment with a link to your server or to however I should get information about your tournament, and I will start tracking you. A couple of sign-ups here. Queso Cup is now open for registration. 2,500 euro prize pool. Nice prize pool. Single elimination bracket played out over a very short period of time. March 5 through 7, that's it. So, you know, this was modeled after that Town Hall Cup series that Supercell did in, I think it was 2019. It seems like it's pretty fun. So if you're not signed up, go ahead and do it. I think they let in anybody who signs up, tell you the truth, and they just make a bigger bracket and there's just more wars. So Queso Cup registration is open. Universal War League registration is open until March 5th, but they are only accepting waitlist applications at this point. That one has been I think over applied already. The Olympians Cup, okay, this one's got a $200 prize pool with registration open until March 3rd, has weekly rounds and then a 16 team bracket. Couple of rules: you got to have a level 1 clan, and the roster only holds 6, so you need to be pretty tightly coordinated to make this one work. Now I threw in the Eclipse Cup and a couple of these smaller tournaments, and I threw these in because if you're a clan that's just starting out and in the competitive scene, and you know, sign up for something like MLCW, I guess, esports, or one of the ones with the bigger prize pool, you are going to be playing against a bunch of pro teams who've been playing tournaments for a long time, and that can be a little bit intimidating. Getting used to how do you actually do a tournament, and then whether or not you're competitive, both. And so some of these smaller tournaments might be good places to get started. And so I bring up specifically this Eclipse Cup. The prizes are a little bit less. You know, you're going to win some gold passes and some bases, or some gems. But the Supernova registration is open until the 14th of March, and there's either weekly rounds or there might be more than one war per week, and then a knockout bracket. So, you know, if you haven't done a lot and you're interested, starting out with one that's smaller might be a good way to kind of get your feet wet. A similar thing here with the Hurricane Cup. Hurricane Cup is only having registration for 16 teams. And it's a $25 plus bases prize pool. So my guess is this is already full, but this server looks like it hosts tournaments fairly regularly. So it might be a place to go if you're interested in some smaller scale, faster little tournaments. And lastly, Bushido Gaming, will keep it up here. Registrations are still open, but they are only on a wait list. This is a segment I want to call Contrarian Clasher, where I bring up my own pet peeves and opinions on things. So I've got two things to talk about today. One of them is Discord pet peeves. I have two pet peeves about Discord. And I'm just going to start this off by saying that I think most of us have our Discord servers to engage with our content and our audiences. And I think both of these things can distract from that. So the channel for channel partnerships, where there's an add here or an add everyone capability by your channel partner, means that your channel partner is pinging your audience fairly regularly, and they are having to go out and chase that down to clear out those pings. And that distracts from your content, because when you ping, if they think, oh, I can just ignore that one because there's always pings, then they're not paying as much attention to the important stuff. The same thing when there's a live stream or a video with an ad here and an ad everyone. I'm going to argue that for most of you who have Discord servers that are focused around tournaments or running a tournament or a league of some sort, you can have a channel where the live streams and the videos are posted. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that you should not be doing an ad here or an ad everyone ping unless it's a semifinal or a final. Because the rest of those are just distracting and they irritate your audience. So for me specifically, I am in 100 Discord servers. And the day that Top End Base Building posts all their updates to all of their partner channels, my entire Discord lights up like a Christmas tree. And I have to go through every single one of those channels and clear out the Top End Base Buildings at here or at everyone ping that all of those servers have given them the right to do. I just think this is I don't think it helps your community. I don't think it helps you. I'm not even sure that it helps the channel partner. I mean, like, I'm irritated by Top End Base Building because of these pings, right? I'm not. So anyway, just be careful about who is that server for. And are these partnerships and are these ad here's and ad everyone's really serving your community? Second thing I want to make a little point about is, what is esports? Why is it esports and why isn't it gaming? Well, I think the critical difference between esports and gaming is that in esports, you expect there to be spectators. In gaming, you just expect to play. So when I'm playing Clash of Clans with my clan in a random spin war, that's really not esports, that's just us playing. You know, when we are having a tournament and it's, you know, we're just doing friendlies against somebody else, that's not esports, that's just playing. It becomes esports when you have an organized structure with sponsors, with spectators. And when you have an organized structure with sponsors and spectators, I think it is sort of incumbent on the organizer to make sure that you're honoring that idea of esports. And that means you need to engage a spectator audience. That means you probably need to tweet. You probably need to post or make some graphics. You need the spectators to be able to find out what's going on with your tournament. Otherwise, it's just gaming. And there's nothing wrong with having a just gaming tournament. There is nothing wrong with that. Just that it really isn't esports. And so I'm a little frustrated with tournaments that get these sponsors. Why do you think sponsors sponsor your tournament? It's for exposure. It's for, you know, having their logo put out there. It's for driving people to their services. And you don't do that if you don't engage a spectator audience. So, okay, that is my contrarian clasher info for the day. So thank you everybody for watching my video. I would be thrilled if you would like it, and I would be especially thrilled if you would leave me a comment.